Executive Director of XPRIZE Water Scarcity. I know we have attendees joining us from around the world today, so I just want to thank you for taking a moment out of your time to join us here. XPRIZE Water Scarcity was launched March 1st of this year, and so far the team's had the opportunity to travel to several conferences, but this is actually the first opportunity that we've been able to open up to a wider audience, and we're glad you're able to join us today. This is also something that we plan to do frequently moving forward. So we'd like to conduct at least a webinar a month just to be able to provide updates and keep you up to date with where the prize competition is headed. But we also want to provide opportunities for our ecosystem to be able to meet one another and be able to create those relationships that we hope will last over the tenure of the competition. I want to note that everything that is being discussed today, for the most part, already lives in the competition guidelines, which are currently available on our website. So if you go to the XPRIZE Water Scarcity website and you go to guidelines and click there, you can download a version of the guidelines. And again, most of the information that will be covered today is already in there or is available via the website. I also want to note that we hope that many of you who are joining us today have already pre-registered for the competition. You can also sign up for that via the competition website, but we encourage you to do that just so you can receive emails and special invitations to events that we're conducting, etc. And I think that is it. Sarah, if we can move to the next slide. I just want to quickly cover today's agenda. Again, this is our introductory webinar. I'm going to provide a brief XPRIZE introduction into some of the work that we're doing across many of our domains. We're then going to jump into specifically XPRIZE Water Scarcity overview, followed by team participation, followed by partnership engagement, and then we're going to jump into our registration and competition guidelines. We're not going to be able to cover everything in the next hour, but we're going to give it our best shot in terms of covering everything dealing with the competition. If you have any questions, Sarah, if we could go to the next slide, we encourage you to please go ahead and submit them via the Q&A function here on the Zoom. Unfortunately, we won't be able to answer every question, but we do plan on submitting responses back after today's webinar. I also want to note that today's webinar is being recorded, and we do plan on distributing this at the conclusion of today's session. Your note that your microphone has been muted, but we do encourage you to use the chat function to chat with us or to chat with each other. Again, submit your questions via the Q&A. We'll collect all the questions and provide answers after today's session. Please note that we also are working on an FAQ document that we do plan on launching on the registration page soon. So please be on the lookout for that. That's going to be answers to a lot of the frequently asked questions that we've been getting over the last 2 months since our launch. We're seeing a lot of overlap there, and we want to make this process as easy and understandable for everybody. So we'll let you know when that FAQ is also released. And if you have any questions, by all means, please, you can email us at any time at waterscarcity@xprize.org. You can see the email there at the bottom of the page. And once again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. So it's occurred to me that many of you may be hearing about XPRIZE for the very first time today, and I just want to provide a brief introduction. At XPRIZE, our mission is to accelerate an abundant and equitable future for all. And we move closer to attaining this goal by operating the world's largest incentivized prize competitions that inspire and empower problem solvers across the world to focus on a single goal. In this particular case, our goal is in addressing water scarcity. At our core, we believe that the solutions to the world's biggest problems can come from anyone, anywhere. We've been operating under this prize model for the past 30 years, and within that 30 years, we've launched 30 competitions. This was actually XPRIZE Water Scarcity is number 29. And over that period of time, we've launched a total of, or offered a total of $519 million in prize purses. Much of those funds currently sit within our, I think, 5 to 6 active prizes that we have available. Over those period of 30 years, we have awarded $146 million in award funds. And we currently, in our prize design process, are developing $350 million worth of award money in our various prize design process. So each year, or not each year, it's not a set schedule, but we regularly will be launching new prizes. We have several in active development, so that 350 will be coming into life here hopefully soon. Over the course of that 30 years, we've brought on around 81 total prize sponsors. And within that, we've seen our teams go on and make huge impact in the industry. And we see that by knowing that our teams have gone on to file 895 patents. We've brought in 360 plus prize partners to support our teams on their mission. And we've also seen 592. I don't think that's an exact number, but we're just going to estimate 592 trademark filings by our XPRIZE teams over the years as well. So again, 30 years of impact. We're quite proud of this. And next slide, please. Over the years, what we've done now is we began to organize our prizes into the following domains. So we encourage you to check the XPRIZE website so you can read more about each of the domains and the prizes within it. I'll just go down the list quickly here of our domains. We have our biodiversity and conservation. We have our climate and energy domain, our health domain, our deep tech and quantum domain, our learning and society domain, space and exploration, and then food, water, and waste. And food, water, and waste is actually where XPRIZE Water Scarcity sits. We are in the process of really building up this domain, trying to build an ecosystem, and we're going to do that across the various prizes that we build and design within this domain. So we hope that while you are currently a part of the XPRIZE Water Scarcity, that you'll join us in our mission within the wider domain across food, water, and waste. Okay, so our prize model has, again, it's been 30 years and running. We launched our first prize in 1995, and since then we've gone on to launch 29 more additional prizes. And as I mentioned, we have several more on the horizon that are currently in the design process. Since joining the foundation personally in 2008, I've had the pleasure of working on several of these competitions that you see here today, and I'm particularly grateful to be a part of this historic competition, just given that water scarcity is an issue that we all face today, right? Nobody can hide from this. It's worldwide, and we want to help create solutions to this issue. I want to point out that none of this work could be possible at XPRIZE without the generosity of our prize sponsors. And in this case, we are honored to be working aside the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative, without whom none of this would be possible. So the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative is a nonprofit organization who is committed to addressing the growing threat of global water scarcity. It is founded by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and he is the president of the United Arab Emirates. I had the opportunity to attend our launch in Abu Dhabi this past March, and His Highness was in attendance, and I can say that there is a lot of motivation within the country and within this organization to address water scarcity. And they're going about it. The sponsor is going about addressing it in a number of different ways. Their initiative is quite large, and XPRIZE Water Scarcity falls within that wider mission. And so we are extremely excited to be affiliated and working alongside our sponsor in addressing this concern. So thank you. Okay, moving on, I want to jump right into our team. So, of course, it takes a village to run these competitions. I just like to call out the XPRIZE Water Scarcity team here, starting with Lauren Greenlee, Executive Vice President of our Food, Water, and Waste domain. Of course, myself here. We also have Sarah Miguel, who's our Senior Project Manager. Elizabeth Guyman, who many of you may have already corresponded with so far, who's our team and partnership lead. And then also Laika de los Santos, who's our senior marketing manager. Next slide, please. Okay, next we have our technical team, and we're very lucky to round out our team with Hossein Atufi as our technical lead, and then also Jim Pippin as a technical consultant to help us work through our guidelines and really prepare us for the next 4 years as we move into the various phases of the competition. XPRIZE has, I would say, roughly currently 100 different employees. These are just the folks that work specifically on this prize, but we also have a wider organization that helps us cross-functionally, which includes our marketing team, our legal team, our finance team, etc. So it's not just this small team. It's a much wider organization, each focus on different domains or different cross-functional work within the organization. I'd also like to call out our prize advisory board. Our board is really comprised of a number of industry experts and thought leaders who supported the design of this competition and who also continue to work closely with us as we help to ensure the competition's success and impact. You may recognize some of the individuals on this list. I'm quite proud of this list and really the engagement that we've received from the water community this far. As someone that's new to this community, it's just been super exciting to see the level of enthusiasm that we've received, the level of support, and we really hope to share that with you all as we create and build this particular prize ecosystem from the ground up over the next 5 years. So the concept of this competition was really driven by our sponsor, who is driving coordinated action to address the growing threat of water scarcity globally. I'm sure those of you on today's webinar are already familiar with the seriousness of the situations, but I just want to point out that currently 1 in 4 people lack access to clean water, and we know that 80% already suffer from threats to water security globally. 0.5% of the world's water is actually available to use, which is mind-blowing considered by all the water that we're surrounded by within our oceans and other sources of water. We know that 40% of our global water needs will not be met by 2030. And although there are many avenues to help address water scarcity, we feel that seawater desalination is particularly poised to tackle this problem. Next slide, please. Although we see the potential, or we know the potential of seawater desalination, we know that there are a number of issues that urgently need to be addressed if we're going to push the technology forward. The fact that it is currently unaffordable to low to medium income communities, we are looking to address. We know that advancements have been increasingly incremental and marginal. The operations of a desal plant is complex and vulnerable, and we know that it's also an unsustainable life cycle that we're currently seeing, which is why I'm excited to introduce today XPRIZE Water Scarcity. I have to note that this is at $119 million, the largest incentive prize ever in the history of incentivized prize competition. It is designed to drive widespread access to clean water by creating innovative, reliable, sustainable, and affordable seawater desalination solutions. By doing this, we're hoping to enable wider access to clean water. And have a unique. This competition also has a unique focus to preserve marine life and the environment. And I'm going to dive much deeper into this goal and how we plan to attain this by turning things over to our technical director, Mr. Hossein Atufi, technical director of XPRIZE Water Scarcity. Hossein?
Thank you so much, David. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. And as the technical lead of XPRIZE Water Scarcity, it's my privilege to dive in and explain the technical sides of this groundbreaking prize. We are at the forefront of an exciting journey, and I'm very eager to work with all of you during the life of this prize. So let's dive in and see how you as a team can compete in our competition. So our prize includes 2 different tracks and 1 ideas competition. Tracks A, which is about designing a new desalination system in a larger scale and innovative desalination. Track B is about designing and fabricating novel seawater reverse osmosis membrane. And the last category is about ideas competition, which is about the value of water and is a public perception campaign that will be started at the last year of prize, and it's a 1-year prize. But in this presentation and in this talk, I just focus, and our team just focus on the first 2 track as a major part of this prize. So track A is about the new desalination system. We expected teams to design an innovative desalination system in a larger scale. And this track has 4 different rounds. Round 1, qualifying submission, which teams should submit a technical proposal and demonstrate that the idea and the proposed system has the ability to scale to produce 300 million liters per day of water with 95 to 98% uptime. Then we have round 2, which is qualified teams testing, and we expected teams to demonstrate a system producing 2 cubic meter per day over 2 weeks with 50% uptime. For this step, teams will test at their chosen location, and teams are responsible for their site. And in this stage, our judging panel evaluate X number of teams. The number of X depends on the number of qualifying team that we have in the first round. Then we have round 3, semifinals, and in this stage, teams should demonstrate a system producing 100 cubic meter per day over a month. Still, teams will test at their chosen location. They are responsible for their site for testing, and the judging panel evaluates teams, up to 20 teams in this stage. And then we have our final and the round 4. This is a 1-year experiment, 1-year stage, and teams should demonstrate a system producing 1,000 cubic meter per day. It's like half of an Olympic swimming pool. Over a year at 70% uptime, teams at this step will test at an XPRIZE supervised centralized test site that will be determined in the future. And our judging panel evaluates up to 5 teams in this step. So who are the winners of this track? We defined 3 main goals for this track. The first one is about the flow of the system. We expect that the winner produce 1,000 cubic meter or 1 million liter of water, potable water per day. And this volume of water is sufficient to support 10,000 people. Also, we are looking to have a water produced at a good quality that should meet WHO standards for drinking water. And also another important factor is the cost. So we are looking for a cost, and we are looking for a desalination system that's applicable and accessible for everyone in every single spot in the world. So we want to have the water available for low to mid-income communities. So we will set a target that will be determined very soon and will be announced in our rules and regulations document. And the target will be based on total cost of water model scenario analysis. Besides the main goals, we also designed 4 Moonshot Awards. And these awards designed to incentivize audacious achievement for teams, and will be awarded to the teams that will compete in the final step and score the highest in each of these categories. The first one is marine friendly intake design. We are looking for teams to minimize the impact of their system on marine environment. We have a goal for, we have an award for brine management and brine and resource recovery. We are looking for teams to manage their brine and control their recovery. Also, we have a Moonshot Award for energy efficiency. We are looking for teams to have the lowest amount of energy used for their system at 50% of water recovery. And the last Moonshot Award is about minimal land footprint. And we are looking for teams to decrease the size of the land and the space for their desalination system. This is track A timeline. As many of you are aware, this prize officially launched and our guideline released on March 1st, 2024, and it's still open for public comment. Please take a look at the guideline and let us know your comments, your feedback. And as we said, this is a 5 years competition. It started year ago, and it will be ended by the final testing would be on August 27, and it would be for 1 year, and the awards would be on 2028. Okay, no, it's the most interesting part of the prize, the money and the awards. So for this part, XPRIZE allocated $108 million for this track. You heard right, $108 million. And it will be split over among the first 3 teams, first place, second place, and the third place. Also, we have award for the Moonshot Award that I told you about. And also we have award for the finalist, semi-finalist, and interesting, we have a specific award for qualified teams. What does it mean? It means if you have an idea, if you have idea on your mind and on your paper, you can just submit it. If you don't have any desalination system, it's fine, you can submit it. And if our judging panel approve it, you will be awarded. All right. The next track is about membrane material. This track also has 4 stages, and the stage name are same. In the round 1, we expected that teams submit a technical proposal to propose a system that has the ability to scale to a single stage seawater reverse osmosis plant, and it's able to tolerate 100 psi pressure with a water recovery of 35 to 45%. The next step, round 2, we expect teams to submit a video showing their system and their membrane operational solution, explaining their approach, and also addressing how they meet the price criteria. Teams will test their membrane at their chosen location, and our judging panel evaluate up to 50 teams in this step. The next run, the semifinals, is about testing the real membrane in our site, in our centralized site that will be determined and will be announced in the future. We expect teams submit 3 samples, 3 flat sheet membrane samples in the size of 4 by 6 inches and the thickness of lower than 150 micrometer. Along with the documents includes the scalability of the plants and safety data sheet, and also the life cycle analysis for the membrane. And in this stage, our judging panel will evaluate up to 30 teams. And for the final run, we expect submission of 6 samples of size of 4 by 6 inches flat sheets, the thickness of less than 150 micrometer, along with documents include cost analysis, updated plans, and also safety data sheet, and also any changes that made compared to the semifinal. In this step, our judging panel evaluate up to 5 teams, and this step, the samples will be tested at an XPRIZE supervised test site. In this stage, in this track, the winning team is a team that meets our criteria, which are treating seawater with a range of salinity 32 to 38 grams per liter, and also different temperature, minimum 25 Celsius degree and maximum 35 Celsius degree. The permeate of your membrane should meet the quality and the standards of WHO standards, and your membrane should have the highest permeability without compromising the salt rejection, and should be sustainable and safe for the environment. And one important factor for the membrane is the lifetime. So we are looking for the membranes that have the lifetime at least 10 years. So we are looking for more than 10 years lifetime for the membrane. And this is the track B timeline. It's almost similar to track A, but keep in mind, this track is 1 year shorter than the track A. And the finals will be on 27, and the winners will be announced on 27 as well. And this is a prize purse for track B. For track B, XPRIZE allocated $10.9 million for the winners, not for the winners, that will be distributed amongst the first 3 teams and also the finalists and semi-finalists. In this track, we don't have moonshot awards, and also there isn't any award for qualifying submission or proposal submission approval. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm looking forward to meet all of you. I pass the stage to my colleague, Elizabeth, for the rest of the presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Guyman. As David mentioned, I'm the team and partner lead. So XPRIZE is not XPRIZE without our amazing team. So we are so excited to welcome all of you. And I know many people on this call have already pre-registered in our prize operations platform for water scarcity. That's a great way to get started getting key updates about upcoming webinars, team summits, and other events that we're going to be holding over the course of the 5-year prize. At the end of the day, we can design a really cool competition, but it really is nothing without all of you. And we're so excited for you to come on this incredible journey with us. So XPRIZE has a great track record in terms of global reach for teams. So over 10,000 teams have participated, 35,000 competitors, representing 150 countries to date. And we hope that water scarcity will blow these stats out of the water for this particular prize. So XPRIZE has many different types of teams. These are just some of the different types of teams that may be represented in the water industry. Great teams can come from anywhere. It can be an individual, it can be a startup, it can be a university team. We really are open to anyone, and that's part of what makes XPRIZE so special. We really encourage anyone to get involved in the competition. And if you're looking to join forces with another team, perhaps you've one component of the solution, we encourage you to check out our prize operations platform, where you can see different teams that have registered, or attend one of our team summits that we'll be mentioning in just a little bit. So we've had some great traction in terms of our pre-registered teams for this competition. We have 118 pre-registered teams. If you've registered, you've been through that process. We strongly encourage, if you haven't pre-registered already, you go ahead and do that after this call in our prize operations platform. 138 team members representing over 41 countries. So we're really proud of the reach that the prize has had in just over 8 weeks. Really encourage anyone who may know a friend, a colleague who also wants to join the competition. By all means, feel free to spread the word. And we're so excited to start meeting some of you at the events that we'll be attending. So why compete? We actually get this question a lot. Teams compete for a variety of different reasons. For example, technology validation. So teams can get access to our testing partners. For track A, we're going to have industrial level plants to test at the global salinity meter, and we look forward to meeting all of you at those testing sites. We also have access to media exposure with our incredible marketing team, And then part of my job is making sure that our teams are supported in terms of connecting them with different partners that may be able to offer, in-kind support and help teams kind of get to the place that they need to be in order to innovate around this prize. So talking a little bit about partnerships. We are so fortunate to have so many incredible endorsement and amplification partners that have come aboard the prize at this point in time. We're always looking for additional partners. So please feel free to reach out if you are involved in the water industry and want to get involved going forward. So right now we're all about amplification. The next year, as Hossein mentioned, is all about team recruitment. Going past that point, we're looking for testing partners and also partners that can help our teams go to market and scale. So this is just a breakdown of the general types of partnership categories. If you have a creative idea that's not on this list, please feel free to reach out to the water scarcity inbox. We're always willing to have a quick conversation about what you're interested in and see if there's some way that we could work together to support our teams. So upcoming events, we are so excited to be having a presence at these events. Again, this webinar will be recorded, so we'll be sending this out after this session. We're going to be, as you can see, we have a global presence. So we're going to be in Bali. David is going to Shanghai. Our entire team will be at Singapore, which we really encourage you to take a look at and register for. This is going to be our first team summit for the prize, and we're really looking forward to meeting all of you there. We're going to be in Dallas at the Circular Water Economy Summit. Our Executive Vice President, Dr. Greenlee, will be on a couple of panels there. And then looking ahead, we have events all throughout the fall. And then through the end of the year, we're going to have 2 additional team summits. And hopefully with this global representation, we can meet you where you're at. So Singapore, as I mentioned, our entire team is going to be in Singapore in June. We're really looking forward to co-hosting a panel session with IDRA on Thursday, June 20th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. That same day, we're going to be hosting our first team summit from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is going to be an opportunity for teams to meet each other. We're going to be doing a fast pitch for interested teams to pitch their technology, and we'll be sending out additional details within the next few weeks. We're also going to have a partner matchmaking and meet and greet session with a reception. So we've heard from teams in our first team event survey, which some of you may have participated in, that teams are really interested in not only showcasing their solution, meeting other teams, but also networking with partners. So we're going to try and provide that opportunity for you. And again, so excited to start seeing some of the innovative ideas that you have around this solution. Okay, I will pass it back to David.
Fantastic. Hossein, Elizabeth, thank you so much. It's exciting to finally be able to share this with our wider audience. I want to thank everybody again for submitting questions here. Just again, a reminder, we might not be able to address all questions today, but we will be taking them and addressing them after today's webinar, and we'll be sharing responses afterwards. So please bear with us. And again, thank you for engaging and submitting these questions to us. So I want to spend the rest of today's webinar just covering our registration process as well as our competition guidelines. I just want to point out, as I did at opening here today, a lot of what we've discussed today is already available via the competition guidelines, which you can download at the XPRIZE Water Scarcity website. So that's xprize.org/water. You can go to the guidelines section and download the PDF. It's a lengthy document, but we absolutely recommend that you read it in detail. I also want to point out, and you can see it here in the bottom of the slides, the guidelines are open for public comment through June 1st, 2024. Not all of the parameters for this competition have been confirmed or solidified. This is really our first attempt We wanted to put it out into the world and get our team's feedback, what they think is feasible, what's not, what would impede them from being able to compete. So we highly, highly, highly recommend you go through those guidelines and submit your feedback back to waterscarcity@xprize.org. This doesn't mean that we're going to accept all competition suggestions and recommendations, but we're absolutely going to read through them closely and consider what's best for this competition. We are already working on a version 2 of our guidelines that I suspect we will release later this summer. So please stay tuned, but please, please, please read through the guidelines, get us your feedback. Let's make sure that we're running this competition properly and able to include as many of you as possible. Sarah, sorry, can you go back one, please? I just, wanted to note those summaries are a really high level requirements of the competition. We will, throughout the life of this prize over the next, 4 to 5 years, be releasing competition documents that are much more specific, right? That'll really cover sort of the operational elements of the competition, where you need to be and when. And these will be coming out in our rules and regulations and other sort of additional competition documentation. But the guidelines are first stab at that. Again, available on the website. Please go and take a look. Okay, next slide. The other thing I wanted to point out, and Hossein covered this during his presentation, is that we're doing something that's a little bit unique on this competition, which is we are opening our qualifying submission process ahead of the close of registration. So again, a reminder, we have 2 tracks, 2 separate timelines, but the submission period for track A for the qualifying submission will open on October 1st and run through the close of registration on April 30th. And the reason I mention this is because we highly encourage teams to submit their qualifying submission as early as possible. That way, XPRIZE can go ahead and review and give you either the thumbs up or the thumbs down to move forward. This gives you an opportunity as a team to get a head start on other potential competitors that will be joining the competition later in the process. So again, on most prizes, we wait until the close of registrations for teams to be able to submit. In this case, we're launching it months in advance, and this really gives teams an opportunity to get that head start and to start working and fine-tuning their technology. So please, please, please pay attention to that. The qualifying submissions that are submitted will be reviewed on a rolling basis by our judges, and will provide teams with approvals or denials within 45 days of submission. We don't yet have all the criteria for the qualifying submission quite yet, but this will be spelled out in a little bit more detail in the revised guidelines version 2.0. But it is a high-level overview of the technology that you plan to develop on this competition. Really helps us understand who you are, what your technology is, what the potential is, etc. So again, we're going to open that in October, and we really hope to see many of you submitting. Next slide, please. Same for track B. We will open the qualifying submission period on October 1st. Registration for track B actually closes on February 28th. So there's a little bit of a smaller window here, but again, highly recommend to submit as early as possible. If you have any questions about this process as we get closer to the due date, please reach out at any time. And again, more specific details will be shared in our revised guidelines. Next slide, please. Okay, so as we mentioned, our assumption is that many of you here today have already pre-registered through the prize operations platform, what we call POP internally. Some of you may have not already, and we really want to encourage you also to sign up as early as possible. This really allows us to, to invite you to exclusive events and activities and keep you up to date with what we're doing. But creating that team profile on POP and pre-registering is just the first step. So next step would be to read and acknowledge the competition competitor agreement. And by the way, I should just mention here at the start, these next steps are not open yet, but we hope to have them open in the very near future. I would suspect by the end of this month, being May at the very latest. But you'll be able to go through these following steps. So 1, read and acknowledge the competitor agreement, which is really the legally binding agreement between the competitors And XPRIZE, this is standard. This is a standard agreement that we run for all of our competitions. It happens to be nuanced to this particular prize, but all competitions sign the competitor agreement. You'll also read and acknowledge our sponsorship under our sponsors competitor undertaking. Details for the competitors undertaking program are included in the current draft of the guidelines. I want to also, so that you'll also complete a registration survey. This is really a baseline survey for XPRIZE to understand who our competitor pool is, right? We get an opportunity to better understand who you are and then measure that impact and progress over time. So throughout the life of the prize, teams will be asked to fill out a number of surveys, but this competition registration survey will be the initial. Teams will then be required to pay the registration fee. More information on the registration fee in just a moment. Teams will then be required to actually physically sign the competitor agreement, and then the teams will be sent to the sponsors competitor undertaking sign to sign off on that requirement as well. So I think looking at it this way, it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Once you get into the system, into the POP system, I think this all will make a lot more sense. It's a seamless process. Really, the main point is just to point out that teams are still on this first step here, which is the creating a pre-registering your team. There will be another process that'll be coming and be introduced shortly to move teams forward. Okay, next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, all XPRIZE competitions include team registration fees. So we just want to cover that as well as the registration deadlines here. I think it's important to point out that all of these registration fees that are collected to compete actually go directly to our XPRIZE alumni network, which is a really fantastic XPRIZE program. We probably started this, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now, but it provides ongoing support for teams post-competition to really help you connect and learn and grow within the wider XPRIZE ecosystem after your time on any particular competition. So it's been really great to see this alumni program introduced. I know there are members in the program stemming back to some of our very earliest XPRIZes 30 years ago, but highly encourage all teams to participate in that program during and after their time on XPRIZE Water Scarcity. So for Track A, please note that the registration fee, and this is in US dollars, is $700. And the registration deadline is April 30th of 2025. As I noted earlier, highly encourage you to submit your qualification submission earlier, to register earlier and submit your qualification submission. For Track B, the registration fee for that particular track is $500, and the registration deadline is February 28th, 2025. I just want to point out again, the registration deadline for Track B is different than Track A. So please just keep that in mind. Also important to note, teams competing and paying a registration fee in Track A have free registration into Track B should you choose to compete in both tracks. It is not a requirement. Teams can choose to compete in either Track A or Track B. And if you really want to go wild, you can compete in both tracks. So please keep that in mind. And then later down the line, as we mentioned today, we'll also be organizing our ideas competition. That particular competition is free. It's open to the public. The purpose there is really engaging with the general public. So for now, I would really focus on Track A and Track B and get involved as soon as you can. It's really going to help support you. I can't say this enough. Even though this competition is 4 or 5 years, it is going to blow by. Every competition I've ever been a part of, one of the things the teams tell me is, we wish we would have started sooner. And we're really opening up that opportunity here on XPRIZE Water Scarcity. So we hope you all take advantage of it. Okay, next slide, please. I know we've thrown a lot of terminologies and definitions around today regarding teams, so I just wanted to provide a quick summary. Right now, everybody that is pre-registered team, we considered an interested team or a pre-registered team that got into POP. You've shared your basic information with us, and now you're waiting for those next steps, which again, we will open up before the end of this month, being May. From there, you will go ahead and you'll go through the registration. You'll complete your registration process, which will make you a registered team. From there, registered teams will go on to submit their qualifying submission, which we discussed earlier. Teams that are approved to move forward from that phase on will be considered qualified teams. Qualified teams will then go through a round of testing, and teams that are able to move forward will then move forward to semifinals will then be considered our semifinalist teams. And then those teams advancing from semifinals testing will go on to be considered finalist teams. Hossein, during his presentation, covered the number of teams that will be moving forward throughout the various stages, but we just wanted to provide all this terminology in one place so that you could reference it as needed. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, great. So, and wrapping up, before wrapping up today's webinar, I just wanted to share some of the following important reminders that we've already covered earlier in today's session. First and foremost, please go in, pre-register your team. You can create a profile on the Water Scarcity Prize Operations platform. I should also point out, this isn't just an opportunity to put yourself in front of XPRIZE. It's also an opportunity to engage with your fellow competitors. You can go in and see who the teams are so far, what their current needs are, what they're looking for, and potentially maybe you're a single individual and you just want to be a part of this competition. I would highly recommend that you pre-register, go through the teams, and maybe reach out to a team that's in your community or a team that's looking for your particular skill set to join their team. You can also go on there and advertise for yourself to recruit team members for your particular team. So it's really an opportunity to put yourself in front of XPRIZE, but an opportunity to become a part of this community, a part of this growing ecosystem as we move forward this registration phase over the next year. Again, I can't stress this enough. Please go online and download the competition guidelines and submit your feedback to us by June 1st, 2024. This is really the only opportunity that you're going to have a say in the design of this prize. Once we close the door in June, we are going to move forward. So by all means, if you have any concerns or topics that you want to raise, now is the time to do it. The door will be closing on this. So please, 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 if you have maybe individuals in your ecosystem that you think would be a good fit to compete in the competition, I would recommend sharing these guidelines with them as well, introducing them to the competition, and also having them pre-register. I want to once more throw out a heads up on the following prize events. So again, we will be at Singapore International Water Week, June 18 through 22. We will be doing a number of activities. The Thursday of that week, we are going to be holding basically a full day of workshops. So highly encourage you, if you plan on being in Singapore, join us, come and introduce yourselves. You can come and meet our partners, meet your fellow competitors or collaborators. There's just a lot of different things. This is going to be the first time we're really able to meet and engage together for the first time. In October, we'll be coming here to the States, to New Orleans, to WEFTech. We'll be holding another full day workshop here. Again, an opportunity to meet with XPRIZE, our partners, and your fellow competitors and collaborators. And then again in December, we'll be at the IDRA World Congress in Abu Dhabi. I suspect that we will be doing a suite of activities there in Abu Dhabi, given that it is the home country of our sponsor. So this is going to be a very busy event for us, and we really hope that as many of you as possible can join us and be a part of this. Lastly, if you maybe forgot to submit a question in today's webinar, or there's something burning that we missed, you can email us at any time at waterscarcity@xprize.org. I suspect that many of you have already been engaging us with us there. You've had the opportunity to engage with Elizabeth. Please continue to submit those questions there. We are here to support you in this mission. And I lastly just want to point out, as I had started with, this is just the first of what we intend to be many webinars moving forward through the registration process. We will switch the format of these webinars as we move forward. It's not going to always be XPRIZE speaking to you. We would love to switch that format so that it's our competitors speaking to us or speaking to each other and getting to know one another. And again, just really building this community and finding various ways to support each other in addressing global water scarcity. Before I wrap things up, team, I think there's maybe been some chats going back and forth. Is there anything that we wanted to address before we wrap up today's webinar? Or are we going to go ahead and answer everything post today's session?
I think there are some questions around registration. Right now, we just are encouraging teams to create their team profile in POP, the prize operations platform, and we'll submit clear instructions on the qualifying submissions at a later time. So if you do want to submit something early, there's not a way to do it in the platform. Of course, you can always submit questions to waterscarcity@xprize.org.
Okay, fantastic. So Sarah, thank you. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know that we have a global attendees here list, so I'm really excited to see so many of you involved to date, and I hope that you'll continue to move forward with us. Again, we will be sharing answers to all of today's questions and a follow-up response. We'll also be sharing a recording of today's webinar, so please feel free to share it with your colleagues who maybe weren't able to join us today, or other potential collaborators or competitors that you think are a good fit for the competition. We encourage you to share all of this information with your network. And once again, thank you for joining. And we can't wait to see you again in our next webinar, and hopefully at one of the 3 team summits that we have planned throughout the year. Thank you very much. Goodbye.